I don't see her up here. Oh, there she is. Oh, yeah, you're okay. When she wears glasses. Oh. Oh, I sat down and I looked up and I was like, hey, Anna, did you get your hair cut? And it's like, wait a minute, that's not that kind of hair.
Okay, 5:30, let's start. Are we ready? Are we
We
going?
are recording, yeah.
Okay, good. So we got to do introductions. I'm John Linn. I've got a little low voice. That's my 3.5-year-old that gave me the virus and say, I call it the Montessori virus. He's been in that thing. He's always bringing something home. I feel fine. I just don't have much voice. But I'm a co-chair and I live in Hidden Springs area.
My name is Todd Olson, Parks and Rec Board Advisory Member, and I'm from the Barrington Heights neighborhood.
Megan Big Jonathan. Do we do everybody on the
Yeah.
call? Okay.
Yep.
I'm Pam Cricklow. I'm the treasurer of the West Linn Historical Society, just a guest tonight.
Yeah, Beth Smolin, co-president of the Westland Historical Society.
Tara Winkin, staff.
Dale Paterna, a citizen, I lived in West Linn 7 to 8 years. I belonged to all kinds of clubs during those years, and I'm pretty active in the Lions Club right now.
Diana Lavery. I live in Cascade Summit neighborhood, and we've lived here 25 years in office.
Karen Kellogg, I'm on the advisory board and I think I'm an 18-year West Linnian in Romulus.
I'm Vicki Handy, co-chair of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. Lived here 27 years. And I'm in the Willamette neighborhood.
And I'm on same Park and Recreation Advisory Board.
All right, everybody got a copy of today's agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay, don't really have any summary notes. I don't give them.
Oh, yeah, I sent both of them very last minute.
Okay. They're usually okay to me.
I read it
Everybody okay with
online.
them?
Yeah, I read it online. Looks okay with me.
Okay.
Okay, so we all approve?
Yep, it's okay with me.
Okay.
Good with you.
Person who's. Yeah, we have to, somebody has to approve it and somebody has to second it.
I motion to approve it.
Help yourself.
I second.
Okay,
Thank you.
those in favor? Aye.
Hey,
Okay, cool.
we have the same problem. That whole process, like, wait a minute, who said what?
And it's not really hard. but,
No,
you know.
no,
Okay.
it's not. So we are going to start with community comments. And I assume Dale, you're here for community comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you want to start?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I'm here to try to prevent you people not to recommend the recreation center. And I'm going to try to give you as many reasons as I can. Speaking from a citizen that lived here all my life, I was on the board for the police department. We got that passed, the new station and stuff. So I'm trying to get you to look at other things besides the special interest groups. Now, there's a lot of people out there like me who's on fixed incomes, and I just kind of want to float stuff around. I'm not sure where you're all at as far as where you're going with the city council and everything. So I'm going to just kind of briefly start out. In the paper, your mayor made some suggestions on projects for infrastructural needs, planning for the Willamette River, vision for 43, planning project for Highway 43 corridor, and study a possibility of community center. So the water structure, I don't know if you guys are really considered it or not. That's going to be a $7 million project. And they're going to have to come out to the people to vote on that $7 million to get that water pipe. And they're going to get a lot more to update the water structures in the city. And we're really behind in our structure. So that's an argument there. During the pool survey 10 years ago, the survey came out real positive. Oh, we want this, we want that, we want this. Well, it got voted down pretty well. Polls are, I don't trust polls. A lot of people may say things on the polls and they don't, but the swimming pool went down really bad. And some of the reasons is too few people will benefit, should pay for their own activities. Bad use of tax dollars, taxes are high enough. There's plenty of gyms nearby and there are pools nearby. We do not get all these features. For newcomers, it would be too expensive. Public transportation is not good. Tax is too high. Crime, police department. Speaking of departments in the city, I've tried to talk to most of the people in charge. Megan, I've known forever, and we were neighbors where our kids grew up and stuff. And I tried to get by to the departments, and this infrastructure of Westland is really hurting badly. Every department needs people. They need equipment. They need more things to keep the city running at a better pace than what we are right now. Take, for example, the police department. Right now, they need a community service officer. And what he would do or she would do, that we have one, but he doesn't have the time to go just to the high street. This person could go to all the middle schools and grade schools, the person to do that. When I was growing up, the police used to come and, man, that was great. I mean, they came to grade school and showed us, and they respected them. And so every department needs something, and Megan probably can tell you better than that. And talking to them all down, and police department they need body cams. They need the community officer. They need other equipment too. I didn't want to write it all down because it would take forever to write. Another thing, we need better roads. You know how much it's going to cost to make our roads? How many don't like the roads in Westland? My road is so bad. In 10 years, it's going to be just gravel. So we need to, public safety, we got to keep our roads up. If we don't keep our roads up, that's got to be a priority. Another thing is the schools. Westland School is they're cutting $10 million out of their budget. And the reason why my daughter is an assistant superintendent at Clackamas District, and we were talking, and a lot of these schools are coming out this year and next year because of COVID. They're running out of money, and they're going to need a lot more money. And with Westland, they're going to come out in a couple of years. They're going to ask for a ton of money. So that's what you need to consider about making recommendations for this recreation center. You got taxes already raised. You voted for the fire department. You voted for the zoo. Your taxes are going up. And people have got to look at that. And that was one of the things that really bothered on the survey.
I'm so sorry, Dale, but we have passed the 5-minute mark.
Oh, okay.
Can I?
No, that's okay. I'm
Can I give you just a moment for kind of
want-
like your summary
Well,
statement?
I just have one thing, and none of this nobody has thought this out. And the group that did the survey or did the presentation on why we should have a recreation center, they left out one thing very important: COVID. It's going to happen again. And you know how many sports centers went out of business because of COVID? Westland should not be private enterprise. We should not be collecting money for use. If we get a COVID epidemic, who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for it? That building's going to sit empty for 2 years. And don't think COVID's not going to happen again. And I have a lot of other things, but I appreciate everybody's time. Yeah. So thank you very much. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming and having such clear concern for the multifaceted needs of the city. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No questions?
I was gonna say, there's a good conversation going on today on the West Linn Facebook community page. Because I posted just do some general info, just to get people talking, and people are talking. So if you don't belong to the West Linn community page, you should.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting a group of people
And yeah,
together.
and get on there because there's a conversation that's really growing today. Some of your concerns as well might be some of mine. But it's a good conversation, and that's another good place to share your concerns with the people who are probably going to end up voting for this.
Yeah,
Thank you, Karen.
okay, well, thank you for your time, everybody, and have a good meeting, and
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
thank you for letting me talk.
Awesome.
Thanks, Dale.
So Beth and Pam, we have the Willamette Park Stage naming. Do we maybe want to
Yeah.
switch these so that
Absolutely.
we can do that since we have guests? Okay. Then Roger isn't here tonight, but he did leave us a note.
Beth is in his place.
Beth is in his place. And so I'd love to hear what you have to say, and then a recommendation from staff, and we'll move forward.
I'm just gonna pull up, so we're in the process of putting together a plan to buy a park bench. And, you know, that's obviously something we would approach the city and do. And so that we're going to do, and hopefully, and we're hoping to be able to dedicate that in the Willamette Park. As far as I know, the City Parks Department and Parks Board Advisory Committee was going to be in charge of the plan for the stage. And we're here to tell you we support that effort, and we would love to help in any way with, if you have some kind of a dedication or whatever. We're happy to either provide written material, provide content for it. But we are looking for direction for how you would like to do that with the fair committee and plan that out. We don't have, I mean, we kind of assumed that you were gonna knock around how to dedicate the stage and what to call it. And Roger and I didn't really come up with any list to advise you with, so, but we're here to support the whole effort. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe for a little clarity, so from what I understood from Roger is the stage would be named, the bench is completely separate. That's for a memorial bench program. The stage though, as far as what this body is to do is to make the recommendation and approval for the naming of the stage. And the name, to what I understood it was to be, I don't know if you wrote it
McIntyre?
back into the Larry McIntyre stage, as far as I know. We can verify that, and I think we still have a little time to maybe, if we need to wordsmith that a little bit. The goal is to get this approved before the fair. I didn't know who would be purchasing the plaque. I'd assumed it would probably be on the Historical Society to do, but that's something we can figure out. And as far as a program for the fair, Tara, correct me if I'm wrong, we would kind of want you guys to present something to us that you would like to do at the fair. We could figure out the time slot, and it would be for you guys to make that presentation, and we would be standing there with you honoring it, or the Parks Board member would be to be able to get this honor out to Larry.
Yeah.
So I think it could be relatively simple. The part question I had was that we had to do community outreach for this. I think they said it was, to talk to John, it's a little bit different in that we have this body who's approving it. It's within a park. We weren't, we committed that we wouldn't do like a huge header on top of the stage. It would be somewhat of a subtle plaque that would be there that would really be dedicating it, and then having that presentation at the fair would be fabulous, right? So that was kind of what I knew. We could reach out to the neighborhood association. There wasn't a define of how we reach out to the public. We are reaching out to the public via this meeting. It's been twice. You are members of the public as well. And so I wasn't given a roadmap to get to that end goal. It didn't seem like there was big concern about that too. But if we had any concerns with the neighborhood association, I don't think we would, especially having Larry's knowledge of who he is and known in the community, right?
Yeah, you know, the only, we did sort of entertain the idea that, oh, someone may come out of the woodwork and say, well, what
Yeah.
about this person or that
Mhm,
person? And, we just don't know if that's going to happen, but, the assumption is that it's gonna be,
Well, we realized we were not, we vetted this last meeting,
Mhm.
these two weren't here. We are not opening it up for people to choose names on it. It's that it's being suggested and recommended potentially by the Parks Board that it be named this.
yeah.
So that's the different, we kind of went through that last time,
Yeah.
trying to debate, were we opening
And
it up for people to choose names? Like, nope, this is being dedicated to this space, to this person.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're okay to do so and moving
Mhm.
forward
Mhm.
with whatever you choose to do.
Yeah,
And we
but,
will probably do a notification, I think, out to say the Parks Board recommended this. We can send it to the neighborhood. We can at least send it if we need to, but your recommendation is what, and it's public. And it's not like we're doing a huge building, right? We're doing a stage within a park, an existing
Mhm.
structure.
Mhm.
And the history of Larry is very well spelled out in this letter.
so we've had the Willamette Park stage naming on our agenda at least 2 meetings.
Mhm.
And so that is publicized. And we did agree that we would do the consideration here. And if you all recall, Roger did a presentation
Mhm.
and then Megan at the next meeting, so this is the 3rd meeting, at the next meeting gave us all of the details. And so at this meeting, I think that we should go ahead and if we want to make a motion to recommend to that we go with this naming, I think tonight's the night.
Yeah, we
But-
were hoping to.
The only thing I might suggest as a person who's coordinated many children's activities at our parks is that if we do this, that we call it the McIntyre
I
stage
like that.
in honor of Larry McIntyre, because you try to get kids and their parents and you get the first name and the last name and it's always just problematic.
I was absolutely on the same page.
Okay,
The only other suggestion I was going to, because really his first and most significant contribution in the city was mayor, so it could be Mayor McIntyre stage, but I agree completely, just the McIntyre stage.
Well, how about on the
Wonderful.
plaque, McIntyre stage in honor of Mayor Larry McIntyre?
Yeah,
That makes sense.
How's that?
yeah.
Okay. And Megan asked if the historical board would be willing to fund the plaque and be part of that presentation, kind of call the shots, because you knew him and have that passion. I think that that makes a lot of sense. Do you think that that would be appropriate?
Well, we were moving forward with the bench, because we thought the city would be taking care of the stage and the plaque, so we were proceeding with the bench. So we haven't voted on anything along that line, so, I'm not sure how our board would come down on that, because we were going a separate route.
Right.
So, we've got a meeting next week. We can bring that up and see, if we want to drop the bench and go with the plaque, or, see what we can do. So, we're happy to discuss it a little bit further.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, because the bench program is like $1,200 for a bench. So we were already in conversation with the Willamette Neighborhood Association and we were gonna put it out to the members to see if we could get a fundraising for the bench. But a bronze plaque is gonna be probably more than that,
So what we
right?
can
What do you
do,
know?
we don't, I think we'll figure this out. So don't stress over it. We will figure, I think it just depends on how eccentric it is. And I think we will be able to figure that out. So we'll
Okay.
talk to you afterwards and make sure that the verbiage is correct.
Okay,
If there's certain keywords that we want to have, like we were just kind of, if we can come up with some of, doesn't have to be everything. But like if we want to do the McIntyre stage and the Parks Board wants to approve that, I think that's great.
Mhm.
in honor of Mayor, and we can do that with the final wordsmithing. If we know that, we'll figure out the plaque.
Okay,
Okay?
And the
okay.
location, like where on the stage.
Yeah, you should put together.
Yeah.
The sites.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and we will be there in force, all dressed up and, you know,
Yeah.
all ready.
That's great.
That is great. So yeah, we can coordinate on the timing of the event as far as the presentation and all of that as we're living everything about the fair right now.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Okay.
Barreling down quick.
Yeah.
So discussion by board?
It's a quick question. So just from a matter of practicality, Tara, how would the naming be used in the future then? I mean, do you, like, when we put out publications, do we say main stage and it would now say McIntyre stage in the
Yeah.
publication?
If I, like, right now, we just have Willamette State main stage. So we have two stages technically
Right,
down there, so
right.
it could be the Willamette McIntyre stage.
Okay,
And then
Yeah.
that would, it'd be designated, 'cause it's not gonna be the other stage.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right,
could have a
right.
plaque.
Okay.
But then even at the fair, we could, you know, for all the things that are at the main stage, it would be Willamette McIntyre stage, so Willamette main stage. You know, like the name and stuff, we could just change that. That's not a big deal.
And then Willamette, do we know if that's something that we just, I mean, I know you haven't been here forever, you've been here a long time. Do you know if that's something that we created just to be able to define the two stages? Is like the Willamette need to stay, and that might be something we can figure out later, but I just trying to think of how that's called.
We don't name, the other one we don't even name.
We just know like.
Beer garden.
I think it's a great name.
It's something that we can
Not
work
rented
on.
or anything. It's just, it's another
So the
stage, but yeah, we
McIntyre
can-
stage at Willamette
Yeah.
Mhm.
in honor of Mayor Larry McIntyre.
I like that.
That makes it, I'm just
Yeah.
simple for use,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's,
Do you ever use the other stage for anything?
For just the fair,
And
I
people
mean,
will
Are
use
there
it.
events on it or is it just the beer garden?
bands are.
oh, yeah.
We put the bands
Is- I
play
mean,
on there.
Is there a problem with just naming that one, the Willamette stage, and then just doing the McIntyre stage on the other, and there's zero confusion? I don't know. I mean, I
We
know
can
the-
definitely figure
It's
that
probably
out.
better than the beer stage.
Yeah.
Well, we don't advertise it.
The beer garden.
We don't build it
And
out
then
or
we have all the
anything.
things, more things may happen. right?
Okay.
I don't know.
And probably there, we'd probably just would pick a new name when we needed to, I would assume, like kind of go through a similar process with somebody else, that makes it really clear.
That's true.
Or it needs to be rebuilt too, but I think that those are that's kind of nice to have these discussions, because you don't always, those are the things you're trying to think about the long term. And that was the reason why I wanted to present, first to ask about you guys purchasing the plaque, because what happens if we get others for one, and so, but that's what, this is something we can totally work on together, and I think that's great. So,
So,
I just agree that it's better to keep it simple and just the McIntyre stage would be better than the McIntyre one or whatever. the other
Yeah.
verbiage was.
I agree.
so, if we make a motion, we probably should put in a little bit of wording. We make a motion that the stage at Willamette be named McIntyre Stage in honor of Mayor Larry McIntyre at the suggestion of the historical board, pending cost determination.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
you know,
if we can't get it all together, like we can do something at the event, but what happens if the plaque doesn't get here, the naming of it, like you already have our banners ordered, so knowing that.
Yeah.
as long as everybody is understanding, we'll get to the honor for that day. And hopefully the plaque will be there, but for some reason, we can make a temporary one.
Yeah.
Honor, right? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Shipping,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Is that your motion?
Did you make a motion?
I'll make that
Okay.
motion. Okay, second, all in favor? Oh, you got unanimous support.
We thank you very much.
We thank you. I love people who are passionate doing positive things in our city, and
Well,
that's wonderful.
the history in the city is pretty fun, so we've had a blast. We've been having a good
Great.
Okay, good.
All right.
So we'll wait to hear from you,
Yeah, we
And-
will next week, we'll reach out.
and Roger will be back, and so we can kind of see how we go about
I
that.
think so.
Okay.
So
Yes, early next week.
Yeah,
I'll start that.
Is it okay if
I'll
you're the
leave
one
it
who
for you guys.
Since I'm leaving? Yep.
Very nice to meet you all. Thank you for
Good to
your
see you again.
service. Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the Community Recreation Center. A lot of happenings.
There is so much going on.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry for all the emails. You probably have some more over the weekend. I just really want everybody to be super informed of what's happening on the fly. I mean, I have never had to update a website like that. And Alyssa, who you got to meet, is part-time. She's running all the events too with Sarah. And so she did all that coding and did that herself. I mean, we look at our regular city website. So she put all that together. She's the one making the videos that are going on social media. She's doing a fabulous job, but it took quite a bit of time. And then also trying to figure out how much is too much and how much is not enough. And so I think we'll kind of keep refining this even over the next few weeks. It's hard to know that we don't know where our destiny is. We've all these hours in and not knowing where it'll go in the future. But even with just our shift with our looking at the 65 million to the 45 million, it put a pause on our bond, or not bond, on the polling because we had to shift some of the questions around. So they're hoping that they'll be able to wrap up the polling tonight. And we are a little.
No, the polling's just being done online, right?
No, it's that the polling, the statistically valid polling, it's a very long sentence, I've said it a lot, is the one that the polling company is either calling or texting.
I got a text.
So ironically, I did
Cute.
too, and I was like, wait a minute, I can't vote on this, so I had to turn it on, you know, but I was like, oh, at least it's working, which I thought was really neat to have that feature. So calls and then text messages come through where people are voting. They're trying to get to 250 because that is actually quite a bit for us, 27,000 people, which seems, we know that's crazy, but that takes that long to get there.
And how do they pick those 250?
It's, so I'm not a poller. They do this nationally for all polling, so it's professionally done. So it's all random set. I don't know all of the ins and outs, but we will be getting a full report on the demographics because you enter in your information, and we'll be able to have all of that comes in of who has given their information and their feedback on it. But it is the random selection of people, and they know I'm just not a pollster.
Are we still going forward with a concurrent survey?
So on Saturday morning, if I get to go ahead tomorrow by noon, Alyssa's ready. We're off tomorrow, right? She's gonna be survey out, but right now I'm telling people it'll be Saturday morning that'll go out, and it'll run for 2 weeks. So again, think about this, right? We're gonna get our full polling information on Friday. We go to council on Monday. And so the information will be coming
There's a
up
whole
then.
weekend there.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to give people a heads up of what that is. And
So
what
we get the polling information before the council meeting.
That's what my goal is, to get you guys, do you know when you're coming in, whoever is coming, to say this is what we've
It'll
heard.
be important to have that information if
I
you want to
know.
go to council.
And then, and council, so we'll talk about that in a minute, but yes. And so that's then the questionnaire that's complimentary to it will be going out, and we'll be pushing that out starting on Saturday. We'll be paying the money again, like we did before, to really get it blasted out there and all of the avenues I wrote on the email. And that'll go until the 30th. And then we go back to council, depending on what it said, you know, to go and say, okay, here's your full findings. What would you like us to do? And I did include with you my staff report, which I have to say was tricky to write, in the fact that we've talked about it so much and trying not to regurgitate everything that's being said. But you will see that there's 3 options to continue to move forward to the bond. And they're not going to give us necessarily the answer on the 17th. It's just the things for them to consider, or telling us to, investigate funding strategies or to stop moving forward on it. And so that's essentially what the questions are for the 8th. So that is what we are up to. And then just really trying to make sure to grab the more information we have from each, pro or con, any information we can. I just want to give council the most feedback that we can present to them. And so anything that you guys can do to help send those out, even if it's not the email today, the survey of just getting it out there. The area that I would like to get more to, I'll send it to the neighborhood presidents as well. But if you have a direct connection, I know you guys, there's a group who's been to the Robinwood, you guys been to Robinwood. But if I'm able to get a list of those that you sent them to, I think it's really important to know our breadth of our outreach, because if you look on that page, I've listed everything that we've done so far. And it's quite a bit. It's actually, I'm quite proud of it. For the short amount of time that we've had, I've always wanted to do more though, because I wanted to go, if I could have gone to every neighborhood association, that would have been great. But if you have somebody that you can send it to and then even just let me know
Mhm.
that we can recognize that we've had that reach would be awesome. So we'll be pushing it out again through the rec desk. We waited, we didn't do rec desk today. That's all the people who signed up for classes with us. It's about 4,000 people because we didn't want to flood emails either. So we're going to do them on Saturday. So that'll go out. The sign up for info will go back out. And then on Monday, we'll also get all of our signage out. Shatrine, with the Commerce or Chamber of Commerce, who's also on our steering committee, is helping with some of those graphics too, which has been really great. And we'll get those printed out so people can, as they're walking through, can see. We'll do more than we did the first time. So it's going to be really fast and furious. And like John said, you need to have the information beforehand. As soon as I can get it to share, I'd be happy to share that, with you guys, because I want you to come in there. And I think the thing is there's different conversations as to what, again, what you can say at council and whatever you want to write, but there's options of just saying this has been a good process. You can say recommendation, you can say, it's however, having you there just to have some sort of presence of saying, even if Vicky's not going to be able to be there that day, so if it's a letter that's turned in, if somebody's interested in reading it, it just would be, I think the point is we've really tried hard to get the community's voice and create something the community has wanted. And if it's the time, great. If it's not the time, that's fine too. I think I've tried to be really neutral about what we're looking for because it's what we've been tasked with doing. So the other part of that, if you guys haven't seen, it's from the steering committee because we thought he might be doing the Parks Board one. It's Josh Chamberlain who's part of it. He stepped up at the last house that he would like to help with fundraising with Vicky. But he is willing to come up while we're doing our presentation and be able just to give a statement of how the steering committee has operated and the outreach that they've, that the steering committee has heard. They'll probably be connecting and based off all the notes that have been turned in. So, so you'll have more emails from me for this weekend. I tried to explain to people, and if people ever do ask, like, why is this so rushed? I think if we just followed our process, we would have been done by a check boxes, but we've taken the time to adapt and move and adjust, which doesn't get to our good end goal quickly. It's so quickly because of that November date is sitting there, right? And so I think that's where I hope people can see or understand, and it's hard to articulate that why it's so shifted. But yeah, so what you thinking?
I think the polling data is really critical.
It is very critical.
For us as a board to recommend that we do this, I would kind of need to have that.
Mhm. And so even maybe on the 17th, it isn't a recommendation. It may just be a statement of how the process is going.
I think people on this board want that facility to be there, okay?
Mhm.
Once we got the $65 million thing, the people that I know, there were a lot of thumbs down.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to find a retired guy with thumbs up,
Mhm.
okay? Because
Well,
we're
there's
talking
no
about,
here.
Yeah, I got
we're
it.
talking about doing that for the next 20 years. Well, I'm not going to be here in 20 years. I'm 74.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to be 94. Okay. And certainly not living in the house I'm living in now.
I know these are all things that that's why we
Real.
got feedback. You don't have to
Real.
tell it to me. I know. And that's why
So
we're doing this
That's the
process.
feedback I get from my retired friends.
Mhm.
Is like,
Tell them to put it on the survey.
yeah,
That's, that's.
well, they need to get the survey.
Well,
It needs to
so
happen and it's not
it-
there yet.
well, I know, but I guess I'm asking you,
That's-
because that's what I'm asking, is for you to, you're conveying it to me as a city person. Ask them when the survey comes to put that to there, not just
Right.
from your voice, have their voice heard
Right.
too.
So how about if we, I was gonna draft a letter and I was just gonna do the speaker notes that I had already written around overwhelming engagement. And to say, so far, indicators would be that we should pursue this. However, we cannot do a full recommendation until we see the polling,
Yes, that's right.
Polling and survey. Yeah.
polling and survey.
If you do the survey too, that will, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that way they know that we're supporting, and like you said, very good suggestion. We can speak to the engagement and what we've heard so far But, so everything's looking good, but we need to hear the final polling and survey data before we do a formal recommendation
Right.
of
Okay.
support.
Great.
Is that fair?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will be the questionnaire, online questionnaire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Survey. I had to ask, is it a questionnaire or survey?
Yeah.
It's a questionnaire.
Right.
To be,
We were trying to.
Yeah.
Well, no, just so you know.
people know when they come out. It's a
The things I'm
questionnaire,
learning.
survey, Yeah.
Feasibility study and questionnaire, Alyssa is tired of writing.
Well, it'll probably be the
Yeah.
same thing that I got texted.
It's the exact same.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
is. No, it is, but just the format.
Yeah.
Learning it.
I know, the proper lingo.
That's what I've been learning.
Just with our language.
Yeah, just for the leather.
Yeah.
So, I had written something around, here's the engagement. I don't know if I need to read this to everybody, but it talks about the council, Parks and Rec, advisory board, steering committee, park staff, potential partners, community workshops, general survey, statistically valid poll, web page, tidings, MLM market. And there's text on all of these. If you want me to read it, I can. But, and then, this has been very favorable. However, we need the, results from survey and polling and survey and questionnaire.
Survey is a questionnaire.
Sorry,
I know. We've been doing that.
they call
for a
it
week.
Survey Monkey for a
I
reason.
know, right? It's like,
I create surveys all the time. Results from the polling and questionnaire to really gauge,
Mhm.
community support for a bond. It's clear they want the rec center, but now we need to determine if they will support for the bond. Does that work for you guys? And then I can't go to the city council meeting. My son is graduating that day and then we leave for Europe. So
exciting.
I'll be
Yay.
out for like 2 to 3 weeks.
Good.
But then I'm full in at market and stuff. Is there anybody, who can attend the 17th from our board?
So it's next week.
It's next Monday. The other
Yeah.
thing that could potentially happen is you could reach out to Mary, because
Mm.
sometimes the liaison will read if
Okay.
somebody can't be there, so that might be something she might be able to read it.
I can go Monday.
Can you?
Yeah.
Great.
I can be
Um,
online.
You know, what time is it? I was gonna go.
Oh, goodness.
So where are we gonna be in terms of time?
So I emailed all of that to you guys. We're at 6:50, which is great. We're excited because it's gonna be there's like 3 meetings in one day. So the business meeting starts at 6, but because the 2 meetings are prepped before it, it could be a little bit sooner or later. So that's why we're supposed to be at 6:50. There's one topic before us, but the meetings are starting at 4. So we are lucky that they shifted it and started at 6, because last time we presented at 9:30 at night.
Oh, wow.
I didn't want to show up at 6 and not go till 9.
Well, and what we do here is kind of watch online too, and kind of you can watch online and see where things are at for that day. I could also send his last email to keep a checkout and say, okay, they're starting the business meeting, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that.
Upstairs in city council.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So I did include the agenda just in case if you want to look at it again in one of the emails, the two, or I think I just sent one.
Okay, maybe I didn't see that.
Oh, no, you may not have, but just meaning in case you want to look at it to see where things are flowing, by all means, yeah. So 6:50 is when we're supposed to be on, but again, it's a guess. If the other meetings go faster, that's right, I'll be watching.
Meetings are never early. City council meetings are never early.
Just I hope for the 9:30. Because also I feel like they're tired by the time they've gotten to us, so that's why it's pretty exciting to like, okay, we've got something to show or information to share.
Do you think other community members are going to be in attendance?
I don't know. I don't know if they are or
I don't
not.
know if it's announced that there'd be an opportunity for people from the community to speak. Sometimes on other issues like
Yeah.
pickleball, there'd be
So
people show up.
that would be, anybody's able, because there's citizen comment for certain, and so if people submit that form, you can even do it when you get there. They did, I asked Kathy upstairs, and she did mention that they may stack our kind of, not initiative, but topic together, versus doing it at the beginning of the meeting and having to wait. So if there is a desire, if you, and I think you guys would have to promote that if other people want to come and have conversations, like Dale, like he'll want to be there, I'm sure he'll be there,
Dale
right?
will be there.
You know, right? And so you just, that would be something you guys can ask for, and
Okay.
I tried to find an online form, but I didn't see one for council. I was gonna forward that out as well.
I'll have to look.
Yeah.
And
Might be
if
in
you,
the
if you
agenda.
attend, you can just,
Walk in and-
Yeah,
I
you're-
think,
you
you know,
walk
they-
in.
if we kind of knew, we can kind of like Kathy,
Yeah.
give her a heads up so we know they would be stacked with us. So no worries, just, yeah.
I do remember a city council meeting on this topic, and it was many, many, many people came to speak very passionately.
So,
So, you know, if you have people who are really want this, I would really reach out and ask people to come. I know I will. Especially since I feel guilty, so I won't be there, but.
well, and I think too, the part, it's still, I even told Ken Warner just a minute ago, I'm super grateful that we're not asked to make this go through. We're presenting what we've
Yeah.
heard. And so that, again, the part that I'm really thankful for, that we're getting to be really upfront and honest about the costs and the desires, and all voices count in it. And so, yeah. Yeah.
And so what you get when you have something like we've had the 2 times
Mhm.
at the Adult Community Center is that people are interested in having it show up.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Some people show up that don't want it, okay,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
not many people,
Yeah.
okay? So that's why the polling becomes really important,
That's why we did it.
okay? Because that's the stuff that's gonna let us know. Somebody's gonna get a text or a phone call and get the information,
Yeah.
okay? That won't have it otherwise, okay? 'Cause
That's why we did it.
You know?
Yep.
And that's the stuff that's important,
Uh-huh.
okay? That's why when you hit $65 million, the guys doing the polling said, well, if you send it out and say $65 million, and that's all you say, we can tell you what you're gonna get, okay? So I think that's the information that's important to the city council. The fact that we've had a lot of people that are really interested in having it is no different than the last time we did this, okay? There were a lot of people that were really interested in having it, but there wasn't a community that was willing to support the financial stuff to do it. And so that's the big if.
I'm just curious, do you know what the taxpayers paid their contribution for the LO one?
I do not, because it was a different situation. The funding was, I don't know all the details, but, the funding was different, and you have 17 million coming from the school district as well. And you have a much smaller footprint of the building because the golf course is there. So it was definitely a different situation.
And their tax base is so different from ours because there's so many businesses that are in
Mhm.
LO.
And they're,
10,000 more people in
yeah.
the city.
So I think the part that was interesting, and what I'm really, again, thankful for is there's like not necessarily just a yes or no answer. There's like, how, what do you know, do you want to investigate this further?
Yeah.
And so, and that is why we did this whole process. You know, you pay for a bond, or this is without a pool, it's expensive, it's like $30,000. I mean, that's why we did all these things.
Yeah.
In the order that we did them. Originally, we were thinking to do the polling initially first, but realized that there had not been the education of what the center was, and we weren't able to get to a dollar amount until you heard what people wanted, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, all those pieces will come into play. The other thing I did, just more so for interest, is I took the funding page that's on the website, and I showed it to our staff who are younger, who have families. But if you just see the average home income and then the $502, you don't necessarily know what that means. So I wrote example in front of it because people just instantly see that, well, it's going to cost you $502. Well, it's not that, based on that average house price,
Right.
you know? So I think some of that understanding it, and you can see why probably other polls just put the dollar, blah, blah, blah cents with it, because you have to, it's a complex thing. It's not just a simple answer.
Right.
So making sure that people can make that decision for themselves, to give them enough information so they can make the right decision for themselves, not a misguided one. So. So we're getting there. A lot coming up here.
So I'd like to make this from Parks and Rec Board as opposed to from Vicky. So, I mean, I'm happy to say rah, rah, but it has more weight from the Parks Board.
Yeah.
So the Parks and Rec Advisory Board is sharing our support for the process and engagement for the Community Recreation Center. All indicators show strong favorable support for the Community Recreation Center. However, PRAB needs to see the results from the statistically valid polling and the general community questionnaire regarding support for an actual bond. And then to recap the engagement process. And then I have a list of all of the stuff.
No,
And they
we
got
don't.
that in the council agenda too, just, so you know, so it's okay to just, I mean, it reiterates that
Yeah.
it's all in there too.
So how's that wording?
Sounds good. Can you read the second part of your top there, kind of what you ended with before you went into all the other details?
And if you want me to, you can email to make a print to see if you guys want to need a hard copy to look at.
I just want to make sure it's like, we need to get the results of the questionnaire and polling before the board will consider making a recommendation or something like that, right?
Right.
Oh, you're right. I need that.
Yeah, I mean, if the polling is 2-1, they don't want to pay for it. Okay, then we're done. I mean, okay. We need the polling to say 2-1, they want to pay for it. Yep.
And there's multiple questions on there too.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah, I know, others may not have, and that's why I said it's not
Right.
just a yes or no.
I have a question about Dale, what Dale brought up. I wrote some notes. He was talking about, how the city needs more money and all that kind of stuff. Which happening. Is that $5 million levy going to take care of some of that?
They will take care of operating that facility, but the thing, the staff to run there, but what it will also do is optimize, which we have not been able to do because they did not throw all of the staff at the building, including myself. That we are going to have more efficiencies and be able to do better programming. I'm anticipating, I can't guarantee. My anticipation is that we would be able to do better programming at the adult community center, actually really make that a flush program, as well as our events and our other activities that would be away from the rec center. Because right now, everybody's split so thin with 2 full-time staff besides me, so I make 3, and then the others are part-time.
Okay.
So when you add that, that also increases to a full-time marketing person. Like, again, Alyssa's trying to do that, because that's important, obviously, when you get a facility. So the marketing, the engagement goes along with that as well. And then, so the part that's exciting is we'd be able to be a full department as far as in being able to improve what we're doing, not having to go to Sunset Fire Hall and take everything over for Safety Town. Maybe we still would, but maybe we wouldn't. Maybe we turn that all into dance. We look at that building and say, is it better for us to rent that facility out or to do different programming there? There's just these optimizing opportunities that come with it that you can't even really weigh just yet.
Okay.
And the other one is that our revenue isn't accounted for. The revenue that we make now isn't tied into that funding structure currently,
Okay.
right? So we've kind of been at zero, kind of just cover costs, and not that we're trying to be a revenue cash cow by any means, right? We haven't even been able to optimize what we're doing in the last. I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So I think there's just going to be, if this does happen, it's going to be a challenge for us. But I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunities too for us to be able to serve the community more. Is what I can in my head, I'm envisioning that from what I'm just seeing with other agencies, what they're able to provide. When you have additional staff, even though they're running those things, you have more kind of cooks in the kitchen, right? Coming up with ideas. You have just a lot of opportunities, but we're just barely racing to get to things, and it's gonna, I feel like there's opportunities of us improving and streamlining that we can't do currently,
So
Okay.
Did I answer? That was a long answer. I'm sorry. I mean, it's gonna bring on obviously a ton more, but some of our activities will go there, and then we'll be able to expand on like outdoor recreation. We don't do any classes outside besides regular sports. There's tons of things we can do, but we don't have the staff to manage them,
Mhm.
is there, I saw in the document that option A is with a levy, option B is with higher fees. Is there a leaning at this point? Okay, because
Well, it's just we wanted to
Most-
show everything
what-
as an option.
what the average person has no idea that you can't use capital funds to pay people
Mhm,
and you have to have a levy to pay people.
mhm.
And it's so confusing.
That's why Ryan spelled it out in there.
And I mean, I've worked with government a long time. I know how the budgets work.
Yeah.
But the average person, I mean, it's like, so this covers the cost for the first year? Like, no, can't do that. You know, I'm not suggesting this. I'm just gonna float it out there. We may strategically want to just get it going with higher fees. And, not that we're making that decision today or anything else, but fee plus capital is, I mean, a levy plus a capital bond is usually a kiss of death. Because what, I have to vote for it twice? And what if they vote yes on the levy and no on the bond? I mean, it's just.
Language gets written for that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, no, 100%. That's why one of my, I guess it wasn't a recommendation, but I think if they asked us to move forward, to be figuring out the funding strategy.
Mhm.
Put it that way, because what is the right option to go? How much money can
Mhm.
private sector bring in? How much can we raise? What does that mark need to be? Is it the levy versus the fee? I mean, what? I think that's the big question. If they want to move forward with the interest, how do we find a way to fund it? Yeah.
So I'm just gonna read this opening. Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, PRAP, is sharing our support for the process and engagement to consider the Community Recreation Center. All indicators show strong support for Community Recreation Center. However, PRAP needs to see the result from the statistically valid polling and the general community questionnaire regarding support levels for a bond. The PRAB will advise City Council pending the results of the bond information.
I make motion to have you do that.
Okay. That motion, to have her do it.
And one thing is if I can get the polling results to you before then, I don't know if you want a word in there just to say, or to process, I don't, to throw it right, because my goal is to give it to you, but you're not gonna have a chance to even think about it.
Need to. We won't have a chance to talk about it. Analyze,
Yes, analyze.
Yeah.
the result
Mhm.
from the blah, 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 blah.
Because let's just be honest, I might be getting the report in the morning. So, you know what I mean? Even if you don't get it, you have a chance to have a conversation about it and discuss it. And you may want to call a special meeting.
Can that be emailed to us that when you get it?
Yes, yeah, I gotta do my proper channels on Monday and then get it out. I don't see why I couldn't. I want to, and most
Yeah.
people I can't for some reason. That would be the goal. So you guys can have, I'd like to have you aren't just knowing what you're gonna see when you get there is what I've tried to do before too, just so it's like when we went to the open house, right? I want you to know the sticker shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, it's interesting though, if there is a community support for the $45,000 bond. Remember that part of the questionnaire?
Mhm. That was why I was like, there's these for and
I know.
and or. And
But
the
some
thing-
people might say that they fully strongly support that, where they maybe only somewhat supported the 65, and then so.
Well, and the other part is just, so you know, the pollers are gonna be presenting with us. So they're gonna be able to give that analysis too, which
Oh,
maybe
good.
isn't as valuable as getting the documentation.
And the other analysis they'll give is that their experience is what the polling has to be for it to be successful
Absolutely.
when you vote on it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Because if the polling says it's 50-50, okay, that will go down.
Yeah.
Okay. The polling, and I don't know exactly what the
Yeah,
numbers
but
are.
they're
But
gonna.
They're gonna be there presenting.
They'll give you that analysis.
So that way, if that's what I'm almost thinking, I can give it to you, but having their analysis,
Yeah.
their verbal analysis is gonna be very important.
Yeah, they need to say,
Yes.
we've done this polling
Mhm.
in your community, and this is what the community says.
Yeah.
And when the community says it's 50-50,
Yeah.
they can say, well, these are the
Yeah.
chances that it'll be, you know.
Mhm.
They've evaluated all of our past bonds and bonds around,
Yes.
not just our parks bonds, but
Right.
other ones that have passed and what hasn't passed here. And so,
Good.
yeah, so they're the pros and I would.
So that'll give us significant data.
Yeah, so they're the experts around, so, yeah. So they're gonna give us their professional opinion of what they have seen, and so.
Okay. And I just said to City Council from Parks and Rec Advisory Board, today's date regarding Community Rec Center, CCPRAP, Megan and John.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'll just clean this up and send it up tonight. Or probably tomorrow. Okay. You do need to eat and sleep. Oh, so we have a net and a second, motion and second. Okay, awesome. A mess. You know the
At
mess.
least somebody's paying attention.
Sorry. Okay, so, department and projects update.
Let's see, this has not been the only thing I've been doing, but there's a lot. We are making some headway on a few other projects. The parks crew is just running to make everything happen. They're doing great. I have, since Ron Jones, our city arborist is retired, Mike Perkins, who was our previous one, has been helping me, so that's a little deficiency out in the field. All of our splash pads are up and running, but there was a delay because we had to update our system because they have to be monitored every 2 hours when they're on.
Mhm.
So that
I
means
thought it was 4 hours.
that's 4. Now it's 2.
When did it go from 4 to
I
2?
think
Just,
a year ago.
okay, because
Monitor
4 is
in
what I
what
know.
way, not personally.
Yeah, no, so what we're doing is
The water gauge or whatever.
we've actually, we're getting them installed hopefully in the next couple of weeks where it's actually a device that goes to our phone so we can watch the monitor. But for example, if we only work until 4, that means we're covered till 6. So if to be open till 8, you have to shift schedules. So we're doing that right now on the weekends to cover that. But I will say, like I've mentioned, 5 splash pads in a city of our size is crazy. And they're so loved. So we're really working hard, but if anybody does have a question why the hours are shorter, that's we're trying to get that coverage and have that monitoring appropriate because it's public safety, got to keep it good. I don't know if everybody knows of the catwalk that leads down over by historic City Hall. That is an interest, you should go visit it when it's done. It's an interesting docking platform system to a vertical metal ladder that leads you to the ground, that leads you to a wood staircase that floats with a boom that leads out to a fishing dock on the Willamette. The catwalk bridge is getting replaced right now because it's quite hazardous from disarray and repair, so we're fixing that right now. Bartus is being blown. And I'm really getting to dive into a lot of creations right now, helping support Mike, making sure our processes are in place with making sure we're doing proper notifications, signage and letters. And we're also in the process of moving towards a online application. So it really streamline our process. So that's been kind of a big consuming thing for me. As well as the rec center and then historic City Hall and all the other oodles of things. I'm missing anything that you can think of I've been running around doing with you?
Pressure washing tennis court.
Yeah, that's right.
Doing that.
They're getting pressure washed and restriped and cracks filled. Doing that strategically through the summer. I think we're starting at Hammerly.
They went to tried Hammerly today, it was too crowded.
Okay.
So they're gonna try another.
Right, yeah, I think that's, yeah.
But yeah,
Skyline Hammerly. But we're working on trying to get some deferred maintenance lists
Yeah.
together. I didn't really come with those. And they honestly, with the 2018 bonds, the crew hasn't really had a chance. They did a lot of those projects themselves, which is honestly impressive. So I'm trying to get us back to a little bit more maintenance and looking at what are we needing for funding moving forward for the next, biennium coming up. Looking at our trail system, knowing that we have the Band-Aid for, recreational immunity right now. For the next year, so trying to take a look at our systems and what we really need to fix and replace. What are our biggest risks right now? Calming the trail. And then working through some kind of processes and protocols with those who are using our parks right now. We've got pop-up camps that are coming. And, our ultimate goal is to make sure things are safe, right? And so if people are coming and charging a fee to run a camp out of a park, is there an arrangement? Is there insurance? Are they licensed? Who's in there? You know, of course, you know, people are pushing and pulling for our shelters. And so I'm having to do a lot of those really uncomfortable conversations, but trying to give a ton of grace of when they've been continued in the past or started a pop-up and they didn't know to say, you're okay to be here for the summer, but we need to look at a process moving forward. So it's kind of put a few people on maybe notice that there's a change coming, but it does come down to making sure that those who are using the parks that are charging a fee are being treated fairly and equally, that some are paying and others are just not. So that's where my kind of am coming from with it. It's not trying to be the regulation person, but trying to make sure that everybody's being treated equally and fair. So it's been doing, I think I've had about 3 of those conversations and there's more to come, one including the environmental school down at Marriott Young. So just so you know, there may be a conversation that they may come here in the future by meeting with her this next week with John and Darren with Penny. So
We want to thank you for applying logic, objectivity, and common sense rules to the process. And I know you're doing a lot of cleanup, and that's not easy. Thank you.
well, and I want to honor, they have businesses and they've been doing and operating, you know, in our parks. And so I don't want to just take that lightly, you know, so I want to honor that to the best that I can, but also our job is to protect the park land
Right.
and keep it as open to the public as we can. And so
Yeah.
that's trying to find that right balance in a logical way and honestly compassionate way too. So. Yeah. Leave that in there. I think that's my updates. I will have more coming up about bond projects. I'm actually going to meet with Ken Warner soon to kind of go over some of the history on a few of them. I've kind of got the big ticket items that figuring out with the money that is slated to them, what can we really do to get the most public benefit? The land is the big one, as we know, right? Huge interest in it, a lot of outreach, so trying to figure out how to navigate those next steps and being able to apply our local share with Metro, looking at potentially other Metro grants coming in. And so there's just a lot coming that I'm needing to build to get this one little big thing kind of set down and in motion, move on to the next one. So, yeah, so I'll have more coming up when we get fly up. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. I'd love to hear all of that.
It stresses me out. I don't even have to do it.
It's like you're
Oh, God.
Do we have any specific items of interest from board members?
I do. So then this is not an urgent, this is not a fix it now, but I would really at some point like to have just a session where we toss out ideas on how do we encourage people to keep our beautiful natural park areas clean. My husband and I yesterday morning filled up a city parks and rec, you know, those big giant bags that are like 6 foot tall, just from stuff from Cedar Island. All twisted tea and fireball bottles, and I see them from my house. I see them.
Cedar Island's probably one of the worst.
It's the worst. And so I would love to have brainstorming issues on, or brainstorming of ideas on how do we stop that from happening? And we know who it is, right? It's all the teenagers having a good old time. But how can we prevent it? And if we can't prevent it much, how do we address it? Because I know the crews don't go clean up there. And it's, and I totally respect.
Oh, no, I wish we did though, because it's just, it saves your time by being able to go.
Right,
Don't
I
have to
think, you know, do we need to look at, I need at least a t-shirt out of this, right?
Okay, we've got the future.
I know that is one of those. But, and you know, we love to do it because we use it. And it's, I look out at that island from my house. It's a treasure to me personally and everybody in the neighborhood, and people from everywhere go there now. But I feel like we need to kind of come up with ideas on how to thwart these kids from leaving their party stuff, because somehow they can bring full carton, 24 cases down, but they can't bring the empty cans up. So that's one thing, prevention. But on the flip side, I mean, do we need to talk about maybe like docents is the wrong word, but docents and the organized volunteers of people who do it, because a lot of people do love it. I mean, and I watched the baby ducks today swim through cans that were floating. I mean, that's not cool. That's not, we're not taking care of nature, you know? And so I'd like to kind of put that on the radar for us, something.
So the best thing to do is to get a volunteer group that'll clean it up.
Telling beach cleanup anyway, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it needs to be like
No,
a
a
whole
regular-
weekend and all, you know,
For the summer,
yeah,
right?
all summer long, so.
Also sounds like a fun project though, too. You know what I mean? Talk about the camaraderie and seeing, and then really showing them that you can use those bags of trash as education to get out for social media and those things where you can really make an initiative that is, we're trying to keep our environment green and keep it for the baby
And
done.
the kids need to clean up after them.
Yeah, like an educational piece.
I'm gonna share.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So I had 7 people at my house for 2.5 weeks dealing with stuff. Anyway, 2 of the people was a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old boys who were pretty crazy. So I took them to 4 different parks with a garbage bag, and we played and played and played, and then we cleaned. And you know, same thing.
Well, so interesting you're bringing that up because this morning, we didn't pick up a whole black trash bag full, just my backpack full of trash today. And we were going, you know, the environmental skill kids were there, and a couple of the kids were down by one of the little viewing stations that barely exist anymore. And little kids were picking up the cans and they were gonna walk back with it. And I said, oh, you guys, I'll take the cans back for you. And we thought, man, there's like 30 children out here. Let's
Yeah.
get the kids, we're picking up the trash, but I know we can't do that.
But
That
it
would
was
be-
great they were though. That's really great to hear.
Well, I think that.
Yeah, that's part of that.
Yeah.
Definitely. No,
Well,
that's really great to hear.
But I'd like to see us, and I'd certainly be a lead on it to work on something like that because it's bad. It's really sad. And like I said, I watched the eagles fly by and I watched the osprey hunting and they're hunting and like missing the floating cut open beer can that some of the kids use as a beer bong. And it's just, it's bad out there. It's the mean streets of West Linn.
Yeah,
So-
we can too. That's the other one. If we're seeing some serious issues
Yeah.
like that, then we
Venture
start
down
putting-
there on a Friday and Saturday night.
Mhm.
Locom, yeah.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say be a defeatist. I've done that in the past last
Yeah.
year. And they're just like, yeah, lady, you want us to hike 15 minutes down there to go tell the kids not to be bad? I'm like, well, there's underage drinking and drug use. I don't know.
Even if they did it once or twice in the summer.
Yeah, maybe the word would
Yeah,
get around
yeah.
to the kids. I don't know. I don't
The
also,
police?
yeah, I don't also think that it's all local kids, honestly.
That's what we found in the other city. And there's an
Mhm.
article in the newspaper about it right now.
Yeah.
About what
Oh,
they're
really?
doing. People, because it's also foothills, you're able just to get there. But yeah, after COVID, parks became known regionally
Right.
along the Willamette.
I did read.
Right,
that.
right.
Okay. Well, could it even be like a Girl Scout project where they would do it all summer and clean it up and then they could do some sign and
It
erect
doesn't-
something
it-
with the trash?
Yeah,
can
there's,
and say,
there's,
whatever
I
you
know.
take in,
That
Whatever you take
it
in,
doesn't
take
meet-
out.
it doesn't meet Eagle Scout requirement.
To build
standard.
something also with like a recycle bin and a regular bin.
Mhm. That,
Sign.
I
and
think that it's the servicing part too, so we have
Yeah.
to be able to service them because they
Yeah.
get overfilled and turn into their other issues. So
That's true.
that, which is that, you know, that's the
Yeah, but that's-
important part about having that island. How cool is that island? But at the same time, it, again, for even for PD, right?
Mhm.
So I think there's some really good brainstorming we can do.
Mhm.
And even, there's probably, we don't even have to invent it. It's probably out there too. If we just do some searching. It's like a solve each thing that they're blue.
blue bags that they need to collect for their fundraising and go collect all the
Yeah.
No,
I'm just gonna get smart about that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's tons of cameras.
Okay.
It is, I mean, it'd be fun to do too. I think, I mean, it'd be sad to see what you, but the camaraderie of those who are all like-minded to do that would be quite, you know, could be very powerful, I think.
Okay, Todd, you have
So,
an
yeah,
interest?
got a little bit of feedback. Marius Young Dog Park area.
Yeah.
They love it, and my neighbor was down talking with some friends who use the dog park, and so when he found out I was on the board. Yeah. Let me know.
Right.
Is I guess there's a picnic table in that area, right adjacent to the dog area, is
Mhm.
that correct?
Across the,
There's a gazebo.
across
Gazebo or
the
whatever. Anyway,
parking
there was-
lot.
Yeah, so they were talking about the condition of that should be checked out.
Mhm.
'Cause they-
Like the lean-tos in the dog park?
maybe that's.
I think that's probably what they're talking
Yeah.
about. There's
Oh.
a couple of them. It's just a
Yeah.
picnic bench and then it's got like a slanted
Yeah.
roof over
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty beat up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was one thing,
Mhm.
and then,
just the speed of the traffic. And that was the other concern. And they said, well, you know, we once approached the city about putting speed bumps, but the fire department said no, so that was the end of that. So I don't know if that.
I can, that could potentially, but it doesn't hurt to ask again, if you get the different, yeah, it never hurts to ask
No.
again. And then I have to think of what the signage is there. I mean, there's certain things you can do, but
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I was just sharing some feedback.
I think it's great. And it's always good to ask again. Seriously, I do
Yeah.
mean that, 'cause even if it could have changed, you
Right.
know?
15 miles an hour for there. They put up just
So
speed
that's-
signs.
I thought
Okay.
so.
In to turn.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
I'm late to get somewhere, right?
yes,
It's scary that someone could.
Oh, it's
I know.
so, yeah, it is very much so.
And the
Yeah,
volunteers did a
parking
good
lot.
job keeping the shrubbery down, like so you can
Mhm.
kind of visibility.
That's
wise.
true.
They do the best.
And the parking lot, the lines and everything is much better.
so any other items from the board?
I don't know if this is the right time to do it, but just those trees in the back behind that path,
Mhm.
one of them on the end definitely looks like it's not gonna make it. I don't know if you've been down there lately, Mike can go peek.
Yeah.
And then at some point, let me know about water, because it's hooked up to ours, but we haven't run it.
Would you do me a favor?
Mhm.
Would you email tree permit
Yes.
treepermit@westlandoregon.gov? That gets to where it needs to go. We're streamlining, so before, when the arborist, it would just go to Ron, but what if Ron's gone and Ron retires, and what if Mike is filling in and Mike's not there? So we're kind of pushing everything towards tree permit, so that we can have a record log of it, and like, say if Mike goes on vacation, I can go in there and start managing it, and we're able to track it.
Okay,
So that would be, if you could help me, that would be super
I
helpful.
can even upload photos,
Yeah, if,
because the other ones that you had treated do
Mhm.
look better, but the one on the
Yeah.
end is,
yeah.
yeah.
So, but yeah, that's where we're definitely sending all tree information. It seems to be working pretty well.
Tree permits West Linn.
Or westlandoregon.gov. Mhm.
Also, no.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
No, thank you.
that's awesome. All right, do you want to give us an update on all of the multitude of exciting stuff?
And what you say, boy, yeah. So we have our summer camp starting on Monday. First week, we got a full camp for fun in the sun. Our minis, our 4 to 6-year-old is slowly filling, but we'll get some registration. We're fully staffed with our summer camp director, supervisors, and coordinators.
Great.
Or, yeah, attendants, sorry. So they're super excited. They're all doing their training Saturday. They're gonna be ready to go on Monday. We have, well, we don't have it. It's Juneteenth. It's on the 18th.
Okay,
So down at
Yeah.
Fields Bridge Park,
Mhm.
11 to 1. The library is the lead on that, right? Yeah. So that, yeah, just 11 to 1 at Fields Bridge on Tuesday.
at Fields Bridge.
Yes.
And I believe he has some shuttles going from Easy Creek Park. He's
Right.
down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's like,
Well, yeah, one parking lot. So.
yeah, it's totally close.
And then we have pollinator week. Gonna see our cool flyer out there next week.
Yes,
So it's pollinator month. We do have our proclamation for the whole month, which is super exciting. So next week we'll be down at Mariotown Park on Thursday and Friday from 11 to 1, down by the pollinator garden. So we'll have some booths there, we have a vendor selling like chopsticks and honey bombs and all kinds of stuff. We're gonna give away plants. We have master gardeners down, backyard habitat, and educational pieces down there. So it's gonna be super exciting.
That's at Mariotown this weekend?
Next week, yeah, Thursday and Friday,
Okay.
20th and 21st.
Okay.
We've got old time fair planning in full swing. We have about 43 exhibitor booths right now. And then all of our food booths are full.
Wow.
So yeah, we're full swing. Lumberjack is coming back. I just finally got in touch with them the other week, so they'll be there on Sunday. Bands are all set. And
awesome.
it's been great. And then, yeah, everything else is still set. Music, then we got movies, but we'll ease into that. But the ones coming up quick here are fairs and pollinator. and
You're
summer
doing
camp.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's
It's
awesome.
exciting.
Even being a citizen looking into the department is, there's $40,000 set aside for that event. So working on how Tara coordinates with Alyssa, the lumberjacks coming in and paying for the ski show and the bands. And so it's really many. And as a citizen, I didn't know all that, you know, you don't necessarily see all that behind the scenes and the carnival people and.
A lot of work.
There's a lot of work.
But it's hugely rewarding though, because everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Awesome.
Exciting.
Lumberjack.
Okay. So, just a quick meeting summary. All of us, when we see the link to the questionnaire, we're going to send that out. John is going to read the Parks and Rec Advisory Board letter at the City Council on the 17th. We're going to add volunteer efforts for parks cleanup to the agenda. I'll send a letter out on Friday to all of the people I mentioned. The for tree permit, Diana's going to follow up on that regarding the sick tree. And Tara's going to follow up with the historical board regarding the McIntyre stage.
Sounds good.
That all of the
Good.
actions. And I don't mean to go back to this, but do you think maybe we should just have those two statements? Or should we include here's what we've been involved in?
Well, so let's see. I'll just tell you what I have out there. So it's actually on the council agenda. I have it all right here. So half of the agenda.
Okay,
I swear I wasn't just trying to feel safe. But I put it all here.
So it's already there.
it's already there.
It's already there. It's on
Okay.
the
So
website.
that's extra, so.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah.
All right. So our next meeting is July 11th. I will be back for that. And a big piece of that's going to, excuse me, rec center. So,
Well, and I think the thing is put on your calendar, July 8th is when we go back for the actual decision of what council wants us to do. So you may, with the information you get on Monday, and then as you get the polling or the questionnaire information, as we get that back, you may choose to want to do a special meeting to
yeah,
have that discussion. Because remember, I did find out today, if we start sending emails, if everybody's involved with the forum, I didn't realize that was even in the email chain. So, yeah, I just learned that today.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yes, so that just put that in your thoughts as time goes on. And I did offer for the steering committee to arrange another meeting, but I didn't get any feedback yet. And it may come after Monday. Monday is a lot of information coming. I mean, not for the polling's a big one, huge.
yeah.
The other information we already have and know. So that will be, so I'll be I'm going to be out of the office starting on the 20th. And through the 29th, but I will be checking in and will be attending meetings virtually during that week at my in-laws house, just because the timing, it will be available, except for one day where I'm gonna walk.
Okay,
Yes, but just know there'll be stuff coming, and if a meeting needs to occur, that Tara can help me with that too. So.
all right. If there is,
On the 8th, was the questionnaire information back and that's being reported to you? Is that what you said?
So the online questionnaire is starting as soon as I can, so Saturday through the midnight on the 30th. And then and that information will be gathered, it's online, so we'll be gathering it as we go through. Or even on Monday, it's only going to be a couple days, but we're going to grab what information we've heard so far, just even to show,
mhm,
say this is what we have, it's ongoing, it's not finalized. So we can be getting updates as we go through. I just wanted to give it a full 2 weeks if we could, to give us a real chance to get it out. And then, then we'll be able to, and I can send that out as well. I can even, if you guys decide to have a meeting that Friday before that Monday or however, we can grab whatever's there.
okay.
And, so.
And John, just so you know, I'm basically from tomorrow until the 8th, I'm out, I'm gone. So if you could keep your.
Yeah.
and then-
Weekend, in June.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
then
who's in charge then? They're both gone.
She's just gone the last week.
Well,
he's just gone for a weekend.
Oh, you're gonna be back. We're gonna have a mutiny. Kidding.
Will you will?
No, no.
Oh, just the weekend. You're gone until July 8th.
Yeah, yeah. So, unless there's anything else, then we will, follow our meeting. Little early. Nice. Okay. Great work. Megan and Tara, you are amazing. You really are amazing.
Well, thank you guys for all that you did.
Thank
All
you.
this